welcome to Tibara's Den. My name is Whitney and welcome to another speed build. We are on to the second video in the Taurus portion of our Zodiac series. And if you haven't seen the previous videos, we've already done Aries, and now, of course, like I said, we are working on Taurus. So far, all we've done is the Western Zodiac sim based on the sign of Taurus, and their Chinese zodiac twin, which is the snake. And so we created those guys on Monday, and now of course we are doing the build for them. So this is their little spot in the world. I debated on where to put them. I decided to go with Willow Creek because there's kind of a certain, well, they're described as romantic. Tauruses are described as romantic, and I've noticed and kind of creative, talented in art. And I've actually gone through and created, I haven't created them in The Sims yet, but I went through and kind of got my overall characters for the Primal Zodiacs, which if you haven't seen the previous videos, you're not going to know what Primal Zodiacs are. But in short, they just combine your Western Zodiac with your Chinese Zodiac. And then, you know, that's like, I'm a Virgo and a rabbit, so I'm an earthworm is my Primal Zodiac. And so that's kind of what we're working with here. And I've noticed going through and looking at all the different Primal Zodiacs that are under the Taurus sign, they're all very creative, and they're not necessarily all romantic, but there is a certain whimsy to them. And so I like the idea of them here in Willow Creek. I think there's kind of a certain, you know, romantic aspect to Willow Creek, and so that's kind of what I was going for. And so that's where we are at. The Primal Zodiac houses, of course, are gonna, one will be straight across from this house, and then the other will be right next to this house. But basically we have Taurus and Snake in here, and they were a lot of fun to create. I really like these Sims. I don't know, they're kind of cool. So you will see, you know, what I mean if you saw Monday's video. But also, once I had this built, I played with them a little bit, you know, to play test and make sure all their skills were up to snuff. And then I wanted to get some screenshots and things like that of them together. And there was just, I really like them, especially my Taurus sim. I made her a female, and I don't know, I just really like her. So how many times can I say that all at once? But for her, she is a painter. Painter extraordinaire is her aspiration. She's creative, romantic. And then I do have a custom content trait of Taurus. I was able to get all the different Western Zodiacs as custom content traits. If I could talk, that'd be great. And of course, their lucky color is pink. The ruler is Venus, so you can see I'm going very heavily on the pink and white outside. And then for the snake, their lucky colors are actually red, white, yellow, and black, which I think combine fairly well, especially the yellow. I went very heavily inside. You'll see I combined pink and yellow together a lot because I really thought those two colors in particular complemented each other, and so I combined them a lot. I didn't really want to use a whole lot of red, and then black and pink can work very well together, but I was kind of going with the more romantic soft vibe of white and pink. And I use this door here since she is a painter. I like the aspect of maybe, you know, she used her creative mind and painted their front door with the little flowers and things like that. So I thought that door was pretty fitting for them in here. And then I like these windows as well. They kind of have a certain whimsical, romantic feel to them, and so I really like these windows as well. So that's kind of what we're working with. Upstairs here, you will see, we'll get into that in a little bit, but it's basically her domain upstairs. So there is 2 bedrooms, but one of them is like her artist studio, and then the other is like the master suite. And so he has like a downstairs basement area, which you will see, and that's just because he's a musician, and so he has like a little music studio down there, and that way he can play his music whenever he gets the urge, and he doesn't necessarily need to be disturbing her or anything like that. And so he has, you know, like I said, his little studio. And just in case you missed Monday's video, I'm just going to read the little blurb on why these guys are considered twins. Again, I mentioned it multiple times, but all the websites I'm referencing are linked in the description below. So if you want to check out anything further, definitely go into the description, and all those websites will be linked below. But the snake and Taurus, it says, like Taurus, the snake possesses a special sort of wisdom that helps them move forward cautiously but cleverly in life. Both of these signs have the ability to withstand a lot, and both enjoy the benefits of the material world. When challenged, both of them are fierce opponents. They are also highly sensual signs. And so that's kind of why they are considered twins, and there's definitely a creative aspect to both of them. I thought about making him a painter as well, but music is definitely a common thread for snakes. I think Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift are both snakes. Yeah, and so I thought that would kind of be a good way to go, so they're not too much the same. And also with some of the primal zodiacs, there's a lot of creativity in there, and so a lot of them have more creative jobs. There's a lot of painters, there's a lot of entertainers, things like that, which you'll see in the coming weeks. If you haven't already, definitely subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of those videos, because it's really, really interesting. Like, I'm having so much fun with this series. I really enjoy doing the different Aries, and there was kind of a common thread. You had your few oddball Aries based on their combination with the different Chinese zodiac, but there was definitely a common thread. Like, they're very, steadfast and either leaders, but if they're not leaders, they're definitely not followers. They kind of march to their own drum, and so that was kind of, and the very active and adventurous type sims, and that was kind of overall thread for my Aries sims. And then for these guys, the overall thread was definitely creativity, a little bit of romanticism, and things like that. Were definitely a common theme throughout. So, like I said, I'm having a lot of fun, and I don't know how many of you are interested in the primal zodiacs. And I really wasn't all that interested in, even when my husband introduced me to the primal zodiac. It was, oh yeah, that's cool, but it's definitely given me a lot of inspiration for these different sims, and so I'm definitely would say I'm getting a lot more into it than I was previously. But now, right now, we are working on the outside. We have all our layouts. I've done all the wallpapers and things like that. And so now I'm just kind of working on the landscaping. I wanted to do these little stepping stones, like I've seen Evelyn do it, and I think Miss Griffey does it sometimes a lot too. And so I really wanted to use them, but for some reason it kept clipping, and I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know if it's because I did the terrain paint first or what the case may be. And so I ended up having to scrap that. Like, that's the first time I was like, oh, I should try this. Because I always watch their videos, and I was like, oh, it looks so pretty. Like, it looks more natural. And it's so cute. And for this sim in particular, I wanted kind of that whimsy garden aspect, or whimsical garden aspect. And so I was really looking forward to using them, and then it just kept clipping. And so I ended up going through the whole debug thinking, well, maybe I'm in the wrong section, but I wasn't. It wasn't working for whatever reason. So I did find these bushes, which I think work nicely out here in the front. But unfortunately I was not able to do the stepping stones, and so I ended up using some stones from the terrain paint. Not the same ones I tried initially. Those ones were just a little too close together, and I didn't like how they looked, and so I think there's another set in there, which you'll see here in a second, that I end up using to kind of go into the backyard there. And I do wish this lot was a little bit wider, because I would have liked to have my gate in front, but that just wasn't happening, and so it's off to the side there, which is fine. And then you can see I'd use these stones just to kind of go around and start to go into the back, and then it ends at a little backyard patio area, which you'll see here in a little bit. And then out front here, a little bench to sit on. That's actually a custom content piece, and you can make it a porch swing. But I decided to just go with a bench for this one. And then I decided, she might be into flower arranging a little bit. Yeah, her main passion is painting, but I can see her really enjoying flowers. You can see I have a lot of different flowers and plants around the place, and that just kind of goes back to that romantic, kind of whimsical aspect that I was going for. And so I decided to put a flower arranging station out front so she can, make different arrangements and put them around the house. And then, of course, she has her easel out there as well to paint on. So Definitely a lot of easels around the place. I put one out here too. So this is the backyard. I like this grill because, you know, again, it has the little flowers. It's a little bit more romantic looking, things like that. And then I wish I kept the wall height the way it was, because you'll see in the screenshots with the roof, the windows actually cut off. It looks fine when I'm building, but once I go and put the roof, or you know, once I go through, the ceiling cuts off the tip of the windows, so it doesn't look quite as good as it could have, which was a little bit frustrating, but again, it's all okay. And then out here I put this little, I don't even know what I would call this, just a little area where they have like the different cabinets, you know, and so when they're entertaining and things like that, they have this little area. And then I do put a little drink station as well. Just I like how it looks. And one thing I noticed with the signs under the Taurus, they like to host a lot. Like, they're good hosts. They don't necessarily like going out. I think there was one sign that did, but or one combination under the Primal Zodiac. But for the most part, like, they like more intimate gatherings, and so I definitely see these guys hosting parties and things like that. And so I like the aspect of having that. And normally I would do like a nicer grill, but I really like that grill because of the flowers, and it's a little bit more of a romantic vibe there. So that's kind of why I went with that. And then I knew I wanted hanging baskets off the porch here, and I struggled so hard with these. It was really, really frustrating because I kept wanting to clip to the actual wall, because I originally wanted them like out from the wall all the way down, but the closer I got to the wall, it just kept clipping, and so I had to play with that. And then it looked funny in the front. There was like this weird gap, and so I ended up adding another basket, and so it still has that weird gap, but it's even on both sides, so it's more centered. So I had to do 4 baskets in order to achieve that. And then a nice little dining table out here. I use this one here, and then I actually use yellow chairs to go with it. So like I said, I leaned heavily on the pink and yellow theme together, which I actually really like how it turned out. I'm not all that colorful in my build. Well, I mean, I guess I have been in some of them, but if I wasn't having these different sims for inspiration and kind of doing different color schemes based on like their lucky colors and things like that, my general go-to is more neutral colors. Like, I'm not very colorful, and I don't like to combine colors. So normally, like, when I do use like a certain color, I tend to go heavily all in that color and maybe just break it up with either black or white. So combining 2 different like very bright standout colors was a lot of fun for this build, and I'm really excited to see kind of how I make it work with the Primal Zodiac builds, because it's going to be interesting. And I think these builds in particular do have a lot of fun colors, and they're very bright and happy feeling. And so I'm really excited to see kind of what comes out of future builds as well. And then I used these little seating areas here. I thought they were cute. They definitely tie in the yellow and the pink very well. And then I do a couple of just individual seats to match those as well. I think these are from Jungle Adventure, I want to say, but, or no, I guess they're base game. But yeah, I think they're really cute. And then I love the country kitchen kit. The only thing I found I really don't like about this kit is the cabinets, because they are so like, they match, yes, but they're so extreme. So like, if I want, you know, these cabinets here, if I want the shorter style to go over the fridge, it's the plate rack. And so I like that it had the different aspects, but I wish the cabinets had, you know, like the other cabinets, you can do short, you can do long, you can do corner, and they're all the same. But they had added the other components as shelves. I think that would have been really nice, because I want to use the cabinets, but they just, it's never quite right. Like the little plate area where I need the shorter cabinets, like, it's just really frustrating. So that's the only thing I do not like about the kitchen kit, is because it's really frustrating. And I end up having to use a different cabinet that doesn't quite match, because it just, there's too many different styles going on, you know, different, not styles, but they're all the same style, but different components. Like, you know, you have the plate shelf, which is not a cabinet, and, you know, then you have like the longer one, which is really, really cute, and I would use it, and then the corner one has like the little curtain, but the normal cabinets are like just open shelves. Like, I don't know, I just, it kind of frustrates me. That's the only thing I don't like about the kit. I end up using different cabinets every time, for the most part. So that's the only frustration I really have. Otherwise, I really like the country kitchen kit. I haven't used it quite as often as I would have thought I would have. It's I was really excited for that one in particular, and I don't use it near as often as I actually really enjoy like the retro workout kit or whatever it's called. I've actually used pieces from that several times. So, but anyway, back on track here. This is their little kitchen area. I have a cute little dining table, lots of seats. Like I said, they definitely are Sims that like to have like intimate gatherings at home, so little dinner parties with their friends, things like that. And then, you know, some cute plants, of course. Again, that's kind of the vibe I was going for. And then they have like the cute little pictures on the walls as well, so, which are all custom content pictures. I used a lot of those. And now we are on to the living room here, and so they have these cute little curtains, and then I do a TV right in that little area there. And I actually kind of mixed and matched. I really try to keep like the same style like furniture for the most part, but in here, you know, it's, again, it kind of adds to that whimsy, and so I was able to kind of combine, especially, you know, the pieces I was drawn to don't necessarily have like corresponding pieces that go with it. So, you know, you have a couch and you can't find a love seat that matches it, or, you know, or a chair that matches. So I was able to kind of mix and match, but there's still a certain theme, like it's very full of pattern and the pink and yellow color and things like that. So you can see I have 3 different pieces that don't like look like they go together, but they have that similar aspect with all the pattern, and it's just a lot of fun. I think this build was a lot of fun to make, because there's just so, I could really go fun, like all out with it, and not necessarily have to worry about them matching, but at the same time they all kind of work together. I don't know how to explain like what I'm trying to describe, but this was a lot of fun, and I really enjoy this build. And it just makes me smile. Like, you just walk in, it's bright and happy, and there's all these fun pieces, and I think it's just a really cool build, and not something I would never have done. I would have ever done, you know, on my own necessarily, if I didn't have the inspiration of kind of these different personalities and kind of what I think that they like, you know. So that's what I'm really enjoying about doing this series again. I know I've said it multiple times, but it's been a lot of fun, you know, to get the different inspiration, and I'm really enjoying these Sims, and I can really picture, like, especially these 2 living here. Like, this is definitely the Taurus's domain, you know. Snake was like, yeah, you can do whatever, and he's, you know, perfectly cool with it, but it's not necessarily something like he had a whole lot of input on. He's just more just into his music, and so she was definitely the one decorating and really making it her own space, and then he has his own space downstairs, which I think ties in well with the upstairs as far as like color wise and things. Like, it definitely ties in why gravitating more towards his own personal style. So but yeah, this is their little bathroom, nothing too fancy. I love the yellow and pink again. Like, you can see I went very heavily on that, and actually I use all the same stuff upstairs, and I just changed it to pink, so it was nice that they had the 2 color palettes I needed. So that was a lot of fun as well. I just put a little painting up in here. I think this is the second day I ended up coming back, and so, you know, I'm starting down here with fresh eyes. And so just adding a few paintings to kind of fill up the space. I do put the Taurus painting down here instead of in his space. You know, I have those custom content paintings, and I'm trying to tie them in to each of the builds. So I don't think I put it in the second Aries build, you know, because I had Aries and Dragon build, and then I had the first house of Aries and the second house of Aries, and I don't think I put the painting in the second house of Aries, so I definitely need to go in and do that. But that's what I'm trying to incorporate to kind of tie them all together. And you know, now we're on the house of Taurus, and so you know, this is Taurus and Snake, but then the other two houses are under Taurus. So trying to add that component in, since I do have those custom content pieces as well. I do add like a little coat rack in here and the umbrella stand, but that's not until later. I find them when I'm already upstairs, you know, kind of cluttering up her room. I find them and I move them down here. So that's kind of what we were working with there. I like the little tea set, and I think it worked perfectly in here as well. So now we are on to the upstairs. So I am just copying and pasting everything to the top floor. You know, I like to do that. I like my bathrooms to be very similar. Sometimes the master bathroom I will kind of change up, but for this build, you know, I like the style. It was definitely her design, like I said, and so it makes sense that the master bathroom would also be very similar to the downstairs bathroom, because she's the one, you know, that kind of designed it and put it together. And so I did change it to pink, of course, like I said. And so instead of yellow, it's pink, but it's all the same style. And I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun, and it really works nicely for the sim. And then I do put some pictures in here, and I actually put some plants on the back of the toilet, which look really cool. And I haven't play tested this toilet. I did the one downstairs, and I've tested both showers. I did not play test this toilet, so hopefully, since I put the plants on the back of the toilet seat, it will still work, but I'm not entirely sure. So that's something that still needs to be tested out. But either way, I mean, it looks cute, and they have the downstairs toilet to use, so it's not a huge issue. And then in here is her little walk-in closet area, which I thought was a lot of fun. I wanted to put the door to the bathroom in here, but it just didn't quite work out space-wise and layout-wise to have the door in here. So this works fine as well. And then I have the two different wardrobes there, a little ottoman for her to sit on, and then I actually put in the vanity as well. So she has a little vanity table where she can sit and do her makeup and things like that. And this plant I actually end up moving. I put a mirror there, so that plant does not stay. I end up putting a mirror there where she can check herself out before she leaves her closet. So but yeah, that is her little area, and I have these custom content pieces, makeup pieces and things like that, and I just thought it worked for the overall aesthetic that I was going for, so that's why I used them instead of some of the in-game pieces that I use so much. I did try to use this makeup tray, but I wanted to put it up top here, and it was either too high or too low, and so I ended up deciding not to use it and just scrap that, and she just has the other little bit of makeup pieces. And then this mirror here, you know, has that romantic aspect as well. And I really liked that she ended up being a female sim. So what I did was my Chinese zodiac, they each have like a yin and yang component, and so whatever their component was, I actually went with the opposite. So Snake is a yin component, so I made a male sim, since yin is the female part of yin and yang. So I went with a male sim, and I did the same thing last month. And then I do the opposite for the Western astrology of whatever I created for my Chinese astrology. So since my snake is a male, I went with a female for Taurus. And I love that she's female because I was really, really able to go all out with the pink. And I've had some other pink themed sims. Like I had Lust when I was doing my Seven Sins series. Lust was heavily pink, but it was a darker pink, if that makes sense. Like this is more like romantic and again whimsical. I know I keep using that word, where Lust was more like definitely romantic, yes, but more in a predatory way, I guess, if that makes sense. And so, so there's, two different components there. And then I also had my 7 virtue sim, Chastity, which combats lust, was also a pink sim, and he was male. So I did have a lot of fun with him. Even though he was male, I was able to go full out pink, and there was still kind of a romantic aspect, but it was a little different because he was a male sim, and he, identified as male and definitely very masculine, even though there was a lot of pink that went into that sim. And so yeah, so I like, even with the different colors, being able to kind of get the different aspects of the personalities and such, even using that color. Like, it's been a lot of fun. And then in this little hallway area, I wasn't entirely sure what to do out here. So I decided I like the idea of a fish tank. Like, it's just a fun, little component, and it has the fish, and it's cute. And so I like the idea of a fish tank, and then just a little seating area over here. And then I wasn't sure what to do for the couple of dead spots, so I put the accent table over here by the windows, and then there's like a couple of pictures and a plant. And then in this little open area here, I actually put a bunch of plants. Again, I see her as really enjoying plants. Flowers in particular, but also just house plants. She'd have them all over the place. So that's kind of what I went with. And then I had some custom content pictures here. The Paris one, and then, the Marilyn Monroe blowing bubble style one. I don't think that's actually Marilyn Monroe, or based on her, but that's who it reminds me of. And then she has the big bubble, so it's kind of like, 60s, 70s themed. But I like those pictures as well, so I put those on there. And then this is her paint room. And so I love this room. It's so nice and cozy. I can see her having a couple different easels, maybe working on a couple different projects is the word I was going for. Maybe some for her manager to sell, and then some for herself. And so, she might have a couple of different things going at any given time. And so I kind of went all out in here. I found the little paint cans, and then anything I could find that was paint related, I put in here. So I think there's the prop signs here, which also have like some paint cans and things like that. I put those in here as well. I like the little fairy tale painting there. It's very fairy tale-esque, and I think it fits very well with the aesthetic I was going for. And then the romantic VIP bucket I had to put in her room, of course, since that's one of the traits that is listed for Taurus. And then I thought I liked the idea of her having little pillows in here, so maybe when she's like taking a break and trying to get inspiration, she might sit on her pillows, listen to some music, things like that. I actually don't keep the records in here. I was going to, but I ended up putting like a smaller, I put like an accent table, and I think I put a stereo, like a small stereo on the accent table. And so I ended up not keeping those records, I'm pretty sure. I could be lying. No, I got rid of them. So sometimes I can't remember what I do. So, and then I thought about a stack of CDs, but again, just not quite right. And so she just has her little pillows where she sits and kind of maybe meditates a little bit and tries to get some inspiration for what she's going to do. And then, of course, all the different painting pieces she has on the wall, and then the stack. So those ones are probably like all dry, and then the ones in the stack still need to dry, things like that. Or, in the wood thing. I'm not sure what it's called. And then I put some pieces on the wall. Eventually, I'll probably replace those with her own works. But for now, I wanted something up there. So that's her area. And now we are down into Snake's area. So he has the basement, like I said. And he actually does like a complete little music, not a complete music studio, but a little music studio. And then originally I was going to have it open other than the music studio, but I see him working with other individuals, so I wanted him to have like his own private space as well. So I actually close off the other side, and so it's just like a hallway that is down the middle, and so you can go into the music studio, and then he has his own little area where other people aren't necessarily, welcome into. And so that's kind of what I went with for down here. Like I said, originally I was going to keep it open, but I like the idea of him, bringing people over to kind of collab with and things like that. And so this is on this side when you first walk into the left here. This is where like the recorder is, and then on the other side there is where all the instruments and they would be playing and things like that. So I use this DJ mixing station here, and then I put as many instruments in the other room as possible. When I was playtesting, I did have to play around with it a little bit. I had the microphone up front in the busking area originally, but he wasn't able to use it, of course. And so I ended up having to move the microphone off to the side there. And then he couldn't get through, so I had to move the violin. Like, it was a process. And I don't think the violin necessarily needs to be there anyway. And then he plays one of the guitars while I'm playtesting everything. And I actually end up putting that guitar upstairs, and so there's just the two. There's like the bunny one, which I think is more like a bass guitar, and then there's the other guitar, and then the one he was play practicing, which is the middle one, I actually end up putting upstairs. And so this is his room, and you can see I went more heavily with the red in this room, and some black I tied in, but there's still also a lot of yellow aspects, which ties in, to the rest of the build, and the walls are yellow as well. But since this is his space, I wanted to, make it a little different, and since red and black are both lucky colors, I wanted to add those in here pretty heavily as well. And then, there are some yellow components as well. So he has, the yellow on the bed and the side tables, and then his computer is yellow too, and the rest is just red and black. So, but especially with the walls being yellow, I think it was kind of nice to add in the other two colors in here as well. So, but yeah, this is his little area. It has a tiny little bookshelf. He has his own little computer. And I almost put like a instrument in here as well, but I thought because he has all his instruments in his own little studio, like that works perfect, and he can go grab one, and if he wants to chill in his room and play it, that's fine. But he would keep them in the recording studio. And then there was a bunch of music, like posters and such. I mostly keep the posters in his room, so I actually end up moving this one back to his room, and then out here I have more of like these framed pictures around. So the posters stay in his room because it just worked better for his overall room. And then this little piano picture that's out in the hallway, I actually move it into his room just because the frame's a little bit different than the other frames, and so it didn't quite fit as well out in the hallway, and so I put it in his room so that way the frames kind of match up a little bit better in the hallway and in the recording studio as well. So, and then out here I can see, people hanging out, if he's collabing with somebody, maybe they bring their girlfriend to watch or something like that, and they would hang out in the hallway here. So just a little seating area down here. And I was going to put like a little fridge or something, and I ended up not doing that. Of course, I don't really have a lot of room for that anyway. But, there's upstairs. He could have snacks for people and such. So that's not a huge deal since it is in his house. He can still offer drinks and whatever he needs to for the different people. So that is the build. We are now on to our walkthrough. And then, of course, there is screenshots at the end as always. I hope you guys really like this. Let me know what you think of it, what things you might have added or done different, and what you think I did well. Any feedback I definitely appreciate. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell notification and give this video a like. And we will see you all on Monday for the first set of Sims under the House of Taurus. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend. We will see you then. Bye.